Hey everyone, we are so glad that you are joining us today for our webinar, and we're going to be kicking off here in just a moment. As we get started, I'd love it over on the side, click on the chat button. It'll ask you to enter in your name, and then let us know where you're from in the chat. Would love to know where you're coming from and joining us today in our webinar. So head over to the chat and we'll get going. Also, a new feature that we're loving in Riverside, which is what we use to host our webinars on, is reactions. So down in the bottom here, underneath where I'm at, you'll see some thumbs up, you'll see some high fives, some hearts. So as we're going, be sure and use that. I'll ask for some interaction on that as well as we go. But today we're going to be talking about getting back to school and helping families get back into church, back into the routines, breaking that summer routine. And we just see this as such an amazing opportunity for you as a church to reach out to people in your community, to reach new families that maybe just moved into your community. But it's a great season, and as a lot of you guys are wrapping up your summer vacations, so are families in your community, and they're ready and excited to get plugged back into your church. Sometimes they just need that little extra nudge. So we're going to be going over how to give families that extra nudge today. So go ahead and go over to the chat. Let us know where you're from. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, and we're going to have all of this recorded for you. So you can also, we'll send this out afterwards with all of the step-by-step type things that we're going to be walking through. So be sure and check that out as well. Let me head over here. We're going to share screen here. So awesome. So we've got Daniel coming in from Denver, Colorado. We've got Krista from St. Andrews Park, or St. Andrews in Park Ridge, Illinois. Jen from Lubbock, Texas. Thank you guys for letting us know where you guys are coming from today. Let's see here. I'm getting a few other chats too. I have some people saying I can't hear. Oh, it looks like other people can hear. Okay. I had some chats coming in that maybe there was an audio problem. Give me a thumbs up. Let's use the reactions. Let me know if you can hear me by giving some. Oh, there we got some thumbs ups. Awesome. I love the new reaction feature. That's going to be awesome. All right. So, hey, as we get going here, let me just go over what we're going to be covering today. So today, what we're going to be covering is what to post and when to post to reach families right now. We talk about how to optimize your church's social profiles for the fall season, how to run targeted social media ads to parents in your community. Also, how to stay consistent without it taking hours every week. So just want to go over a quick roadmap of where we're going, but also talk about why. Why are we doing this? And like I said, this is such an amazing opportunity for you to reach new families. The statistics are the average American spends over 3 hours a day on their phone. And that's especially true with parents. As parents are at soccer practice, as parents are picking up kids and dropping kids off at all these things, parents are glued to their phones, looking at social media. And so us as a church has an amazing opportunity to reach people, to invite people to our youth events, to invite people back into our youth ministries we're kicking up, to invite them back to church. And for some people in your community, that might be a first-time invitation. I always love sharing. My wife's family did not grow up going to church, and somebody just simply invited them to come with them to go to church. And I'll always remember my mother-in-law said, it just felt like the American thing to do. We just needed to accept the invitation and go to church. And they went and their lives were forever changed. And I just think of how many people in your community are just waiting for a simple invitation. And we've heard so many cool testimonies of how a Facebook ad or a Google ad really helped somebody connect with their church and get plugged in. And so I just want to encourage you guys, you can be the church that sits on the sidelines and hopes that people will come and check your church out, or you can be proactive in reaching people in your community. So we're going to really talk about that second, church and being proactive, and how can you be reaching out in this next season. So if you want to be a proactive church, give a thumbs up, give a heart in the reactions below. Want to know that you guys are on board with me for that. So there we go. There's some thumbs up. There's some hearts. All right. So let's talk a little bit about social media posts. So if you're a part of our church growth package, this past month, we've been doing a full audit of your social media profiles, letting you know of some areas that, hey, you could work on this. This is going really well. And in auditing all of these, we compiled all of the data together. So we went in and we looked at the last 365 days. And so we're about, I'd say 90% of the way through all of those audits. We have a few more left that we're about to finish up this week. But we took all of the data from the 90% of the audits that we've completed, put them all together, and we looked at all of the analytics. So we exported all of this. It tells us what kind of posts we're doing well, what time of the day they were posted, when. So this is our findings. So what type is performing best right now across all churches? Carousels, carousels, carousels. This is huge. And carousel is going to look a little different on Facebook than it will on Instagram. But either way, we're still seeing really, really high engagement with multiple picture type of look on Facebook, or it turns into a carousel on Instagram. So I just want to encourage you, if you are not posting carousels, do it today. We'll talk a little bit more about some ideas or tips and tricks on carousels. The second format that is best to post is video. This is always one of those things that I just tell people, just get your phone out and record your pastor, record your youth pastor, just have people talk about things. And it makes such a difference. And then number 3 is images. Now, I just want to encourage you in that one of the things that we found in our audits, the number one thing most churches post, what would you guess? Number 3, right? It's images. So most people, it's the easiest to create. But I want to encourage you, if you spend just a little bit of extra time producing a carousel or a video, we see really double the engagement most of the time on carousels and videos than we do images. So I just want to encourage you in that. As you're thinking about, hey, I'm getting ready for all these kickoff events, back to school bashes, things like that. We want to encourage you, think about posting carousels and videos as much as you can. And also consistency is really going to be key in here too. Now, when did we looked at when posts were posted throughout the day, and the best times we saw was around the lunchtime, 11 and 1 o'clock, and then also around that 5, 6 o'clock p.m. right before dinner. So right before lunch, right before dinner, somewhere in that arena around the meal times, you can think those are going to be the best times that you can schedule things out. So you don't have to go in and just post things right away. Hit publish. You can schedule them out, whether you're using the Business Center content planner or you're using our website where it has it built into the back end. You can schedule those out at certain times as well. The next thing that was really interesting, there was a very big difference on when people interacted. Monday, Tuesday were pretty close, and then Saturday was a really good interaction time as well. What was really interesting, Friday is like the number one day we saw the biggest drop off for churches to be posting in social media. People maybe heading out for the weekend, doing things like that. Whatever it is, I would encourage you. Friday was one of the lowest days, even though we saw a lot of churches trying to post on Fridays. We saw statistically analytics down. So really fun to audit what's working well for churches, what's not working well. Give a thumbs up in the chat or in the reaction area if that is helpful for you as you're starting to think about planning for this next season and posting things. So let's look now. We also analyzed the content. And so we could see like, hey, this post was talking about this or this post was talking about that. So I'm really excited to share with you what we found is some of the top sort of categories of social media posts for churches. So number 1 was milestones and celebrations. And highlighting your staff is an amazing way to celebrate someone or a milestone like, hey, Zach's been our youth pastor for the last 6 years. Let's give him some love and thank him for 6 years of doing an amazing job leading our youth ministry. Those types of posts are huge. And I'll tell you one trick on that is what ends up happening is somebody shares that. One, maybe their kid's been impacted by Zach, the great youth pastor, or maybe my wife shares it and all of a sudden one of her friends shares it. But what we saw specifically, whenever you're celebrating someone on staff or celebrating a milestone, like, hey, this is our 15th year of doing this mission outreach this weekend, and we're so excited to celebrate that. When you celebrate something, people want to join in. We see comments and engagement just go through the roof, even more so on celebrating volunteers and highlighting volunteers. And one of the simple things I'd encourage you just to try, just go around with your phone this week and take as many pictures as you can of volunteers at your church. And all of a sudden, you'll have like 24 pictures, and that's 24 posts that you can use over the next couple of months of just celebrating different areas that people can volunteer at your church. But instead of making it a plea and be like, hey, we really need some more Small group leaders for our children's ministry. Would you consider being a small group leader? Reframe it and celebrate all of your amazing small group leaders because we really do see a difference in the plea ask versus the celebration. The celebration, all of a sudden, everybody's joining in like, yeah, we love Krista. She's one of our best small group leaders. My child loves her, like hearts, emojis. Like everybody wants to join in and thank somebody and celebrate someone. We see crickets a lot of times when it's like, hey, are you free this Sunday to be a volunteering small group? Like it's very different in the way that people interact. So I just want to encourage you in that. Next thing is missions and outreach was the number 2 spot in talking about how you're making an impact in your community and also how others can join in. Again, I would say we do see a difference here, and we really saw a lot of churches do really well in this. We didn't see many that were just like, hey, we just need you to sign up for this event type thing. But a lot were focusing on the why, the impact, the people that were there making the impact, the people that you were making an impact for. So whether that was a soup kitchen or a backpack ministry, there's lots of really cool things that we saw all of our churches doing and reaching out in their communities and also internationally. But I think the more that you can celebrate and just show what God is doing in your community, the better there. And just think about that too in a way of if somebody new is moving to your community and they're sort of researching and using social media to research and see what church they might want to check out that weekend. If there's just a church that maybe is just saying, hey, we need this, 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 and this, versus a church that's just celebrating, man, God's doing this, this, and this. And even how the graphics look on that, and we'll talk some more about that here in a second. It can create a different culture just in your social media. So I just want to encourage you in that. The next thing, last category here is youth and kids. Posting events so parents really know. We saw a lot of good reactions on that. Core values we see also is a big win too, so that people really understand why you're doing certain things or certain ministries. And staff and volunteer highlights, once again, is absolute just some of the best that we saw. So let's talk some about what kind of posts. So let me just show you. Here's just an example that I just pulled off of somebody's Facebook, not one of our own. I just went and searched youth group kickoff, and this is what I got. Now, think about this post versus this post. You can have the exact same content up top, but as somebody just scrolling through social media, our brains, we talk about this all the time whenever we're talking about with paid ads, our brains, we just scroll past the youth group kickoff graphics. We're like, it's an advertisement or something. But whenever we see people smiling, we open up Facebook to connect with others, to see what's going on in other people's lives, that type of thing. And so when it seems more like an advertisement versus just celebration and the highlight, people are going to scroll by it much more quicker. So I just want to encourage you. It's not bad to post a graphic like this, but I would lean much more heavily into graphics like this and getting real images. Now, that brings me to just one thing that I would just encourage you is people, 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 and more people. The more people, the more smiling faces you can have on your social media, the more it helps people understand your culture, what it's like to worship at your church. And this is so key whenever a new family is deciding whether or not to come check you out. They are checking out your social media. Some of them may even find you on your social media first, maybe because somebody shared one of those great staff highlights or something. But social media, we're finding, is becoming such a great channel for you to find, or for people to find you in your community. So I'd love it in the chat for just a second for us to hit pause right here and let me know in the chat. Let's go over to the chat. Do you have upcoming events coming up? If so, let us know what it's called, like back to school bash, or we just have our youth group kickoff. It might just be as simple as that. But do you have any specific kids or youth ministry things planned for the fall? So if you do, go ahead and put that in here. And then it looks like, Matthew, we've got a question here. Should we request signed consent forms from individuals appearing in photos before posting them on social media? Great question. Yes, and yes, and yes. And this is also an amazing strategy and opportunity for you to really make a follow-up system for people. So 2 things around this. And the reason why I asked about events is events can be really, really key for you in helping you get people's information and follow up with them. And so 2 things I would think. Number 1, if I go to an event and my kids are like jump houses, that type of thing. People are taking pictures. I'm not going to be offended. Some people might be. And so I think you want to be thinking about those people in your community that could be offending to them and there are different situations with foster care, things like that, that you don't quite know. So I always like to encourage staff members that are taking the pictures at these events. Not every event, it may not be possible to get a signed type of form. If that's not possible, I would tell them, encourage them to focus on just the families that you know you have that for from your child check-in area or something like that. But this leads me to one of our favorite strategies. If you've been in our webinars, you hear us talk about this all the time, but to have some type of simple sign up form. If you're in our church growth package, we can help you get this set up. And the cool thing is once they fill out a simple form, they can just be like, hey, scan this QR code. They fill out a form and they just check a box. But the cool thing is you say, hey, and you specifically even set up a photo booth. Number one, you get like people just love photo booths. Number two, a lot of people will take pictures on their own phone and then post that on social media of this cool photo booth you did at this big back to school bash. And so all of a sudden now you have like influencers of all these parents posting from this photo booth and this cool thing that you set up at your back to school bash. But the biggest thing that we love and we see is really great is the follow-up sequence that you can set up after somebody fills out that form. So somebody fills out a form, you can put in like a phone number, email type of thing, and then you can set up an automation that, hey, that night after this event is done, email everyone thanking them for coming to your big back to school bash. Now, if you had a photo booth, you could give them a link to the big Google Drive folder or to their specific image, whatever you're doing there. But that's an amazing opportunity. They want that picture or they can't signed up to sort of come into the event. We've also had some people almost have like gatekeepers. So if you don't have a photo booth opportunity for sort of that form and that natural, hey, fill out this form so our photographer can send you this at the end of the day. The other great thing is have some type of giveaway right as people get there. One of the churches here that we're working with, shout out to Jen from Lubbock here. We go every year to their Christmas big extravaganza at their church. They have sort of a gate at the front. It's not a real gate, but there's people handing you a bag. And it is two things really happened for us in that line this last year. One, we heard somebody for the first time there, they're like, man, I've never been to this church. And like it almost created like this urgency, or there was like people were excited to get in, like, oh, there's a line to get in. But you can use that gate right there as, hey, before you go in, we need to give you this bag. And they actually made it a passport. And as you go around each of these places of Bethlehem, you're going to get a stamp on your passport. So our kids thought it was amazing. They're going around getting stamps on their passport. But you could put an iPad there and just say hey, we'd love it. If you're okay with your kids having pictures, blah, 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 you can fill this form out. And we'll also send you or enter you in for a free drawing. Now, they didn't do that, but to me, I'm always like, how can I get people to fill out the form if it's not for like a photo booth or something like that? But we've seen different churches do that in different ways. But the cool thing is the follow up, and you're connecting with people at that point. So let's look at events. Now, there's a couple of thoughts here. If an event needs a registration, use your church database, whether that's Planning Center, Breeze, Tithely, whoever you're using to do all of your church database stuff. Use their forms, create a simple form, and have registrations for those things that need registrations. If you don't have a registration form, we really encourage you to do an event. And it doesn't hurt to do an event on Facebook, even if you have a registration form, you can put it in there. Now, a few things here. Go in right now, today, after we're done with this webinar, and just go create events for all the events that you have coming up and put them in there. Parents are looking. I literally open up the events tab on my Facebook to see some Saturdays. What's going on this Saturday? Because my kids are going like stir crazy. I just need to go do something. I encourage you, do it, because there are families looking for things to do in your community. And this is a free way that you can connect with those people. Number two, you can do a simple boost the event. And the boost the event does a pretty good job of targeting. And so you can do that really simply on your own. If you're a part of our church growth package, we'll go in a different route. You can go in through Facebook Ads Manager. And in the Facebook Ads Manager, there's a few extra settings that we can tweak to sort of boost this in a little bit better of a way. But you can just simply, if you're not in our church growth package or you've never done Facebook meta ads before, you can just click on boost event, and we see that be very powerful too. Now, know this, as soon as you create the event, right away it's going to ask you, do you want to invite people to the event? So a couple things, tips and tricks. Number one, make sure you're creating the event from your church profile. If you just go to events and click create event, it's going to come from your own name, not from the church. So make sure you're logged in and switch to your church profile. Number two, the great thing about that being switched in and logged in as your church profile, as soon as you create the event, it asks you, do you want to invite all of your followers? It's like, yes, I do. And the cool thing there is organically, as people start to respond yes to that, it begins to bring it up in the algorithm and in people's feeds of, oh, hey, 10 of my friends said yes to going to this back to school bash. So just want to encourage you, creating Facebook events is great, especially for kids and youth ministry things. But I also want to encourage you, this is great for your adult small groups, young adult small groups, just because of the pure organic social sharing of how it works. Whenever people say they're interested or they're going to an event, it really brings it up in people's feeds. So we really encourage you to do this. And the last thing I want to hit on is really turning some of those events into Facebook and Instagram ads. So if you're part of our church growth package, this is our main focus for the next 45, 60 days with you, is to help you get those put together. So we're going to be sending you guys an email here shortly, just sort of doing an intake and seeing, what do you guys have coming up? What do we need to be planning for? What do you already have things filmed for? What do you have pictures for from last year's event? Things like that. We'll be getting all that from you. We'll be editing things, putting together the still ads, the video ads, the carousel ads, and then we'll be launching those ads. Some of them will do a little bit of a dual setup. The tough thing about a event, if you just click on, it just does like, it usually crops your photo and it's just a small little photo. Whereas we see, if you run actual ads instead of just boosting your event, you can get more into people's reels, into their stories. You can get video, you can get carousel. And we see just this omnipresence sort of hit come a lot stronger than just an event that's boosted. So you can also set up a little bit more advanced, some geo-targeting settings, which I would not run any Facebook ads without making sure you have geo-targeting settings turned on. For every church, it's a little different. Most churches usually a 30-mile radius. Some churches are in a very densely populated area and it's maybe 5-mile radius around their church. Everybody's going to be a little bit different around that. And be sure to set up age targeting. You might be running different ads and having different things going on. We're working with the church right now as we're getting these all sort of planned and off the ground in the next couple weeks. They have really big adult small group kickoff things that they really want adults to know about in the community. And I just want to encourage you, this is huge. So I'm going to pause for a second because I got a quick story about adult small groups. We've been talking a lot about kids ministry, things like that, but I also want to focus on some of the other areas too. So give me a thumbs up if you're tracking with me on the reactions. Let me know if you have any questions right now. Right now is a great time to put something in the questions. All right, I'm going to let some questions come in. If we have any. If not, I'm going to share the story. So I was at a conference this whole last week, sitting down with someone, and they said, Zach, I know you do church websites and help with marketing and things like that. And they were like, it's so wild. We just like moved into a new neighborhood and we are looking specifically for a church that has things for my wife that can help her connect with other people, with preschool kids, that type of thing. And then he's like, I'm really looking for like entrepreneurship group, or like, is there like a group of other business owners that I could like for like a men's group or something? And he said, I just went to ChatGPT and asked them that, and it recommended us this church, and we went, and it was great. And so I just want to encourage you, your small groups could be the front door to somebody plugging in at your church. And I think sometimes we don't really talk about how important that is, because I think sometimes we just think like, oh, the groups page, like people know about that, or stuff, it's only just like an announcement slide. Or but like people are using AI, ChatGPT, they're using Google, they're searching for a church with specific groups. Like he was like, these are the two types of groups I asked chat for, and we found a church that had a page all about their groups and their adult small groups, and it talked about these exact things: an entrepreneurship men's group and a mothers of preschoolers MOPS type of small group. And so I just want to encourage you, as you're thinking about, we're heading back to school, there's all these kids things going on, There's a lot of adults who are looking for a church to plug into, and they are searching these things. And so I just want to encourage you, go to your website. If you don't have a groups page, if you don't have an adult ministries page or something like that, go build one out right now. If you're in our church growth package, reach out to us. We'll help you with some of this as well. And the next sort of secret sauce that we're going to talk about is Google Ads. So Google gives you up to $10,000 a month in free advertising as a nonprofit. You can go in, set this up, just go to, I think it's google.com/nonprofit. Super easy. You go through the setup process. The setup process can sometimes not be so easy. There's a lot of paperwork, things like that. There's like three gates. So really, if you're doing this on your own, no, you can make it through, but they're going to sort of deny you the first time most times, ask for some more paperwork, that type of thing. But if you're part of our church growth package, we do that for you. The Google ads are huge because as this person's searching on Google or somebody else, they might look for adult small groups or churches with young married family small groups. And you can set ads to show up number one. Even if you're not ranking organically number one, you can use a Google ad to show up for things like this. So this is also another thing. If you're in our church growth package, we're going to be tweaking your Google ads. If those are up and running, we're going to be helping you adjust those, look at some of your landing pages. What are things that maybe we don't have a campaign running for yet that we need to set up one for? Do you have any new ministries starting up, new small groups? And again, the more the merrier. The more things that we can be talking about on Google Ads, Facebook ads, on your website, it really helps people find you when they're looking. So let's pause there. I'm going to just ask, so far, what are your takeaways? What have you learned? What did you notice? I really like the stats that we've got to look through and talk through. But what's one thing that you're like, hey, I'm going to go take this and put this into action? So think through that for just a second. Dave, how can my church be in ChatGPT recommendations? Ooh, great question. So lots to go into on that. I'm honestly thinking we're going to do a little special webinar podcast on that here pretty soon because it's changing so quick. I'll just tell you a few things. It is really, things are just changing so fast, but just let me tell you one quick snippet. If somebody asks, what's the best church to go to in Lubbock or something like that? If somebody asks that on Gemini, which is Google's sort of AI, the number one thing, what do you think they're going to look at? They're going to look at their own Google My Business profiles because they own it and they think they're great. So they're going to look at all the 5-star reviews of who's got the most 5 stars, that type of thing. Does the church with 1 5-star review or the church with 500 5-star reviews going to show up? Now, I'll tell you, the one with 500 doesn't always show up because they may have not gotten a 5-star review in a year. But maybe use a church that has 10 reviews. You've gotten 1 review every week for the last month. They're going to like you. So there's things like that. But guess what? ChatGPT, they can't access and really get deep analytics about Google systems. So 5-star reviews on Google My Business profiles, not as big as Yelp and Reddit. And there's some other things like that. But really it comes down to, do you have content on your website? We're going to do a whole episode on that. I was thinking about that as I was flying back from a conference yesterday, and I'm excited. There's a lot of things changing and a lot of quick adjustments that you can make on your website for the content so that Google really understands your content. They really understand who you are, what kind of groups you have. Like that, just having a normal page is great about all of your groups, but there's a few tweaks that you can do to really help Google best understand what do you mean by groups, and how can I help recommend this or not recommend this based on people's searches. So good question. Hopefully I gave you a few nuggets there, but that's a full 45-minute webinar we'll do another day. So I appreciate that, Dave. Keep that coming back. Krista, do you have to pay to boost posts on Facebook? Great question. Yes, you do. So I would tell you though, if you don't have a budget for doing it, just creating the event is huge because honestly, just the organic side of things is going to be great. And I just share that in a way of like, if you invite all your 600 followers and 30 moms like RSVP saying, hey, we're going to go to this back to school bash, the algorithm is going to naturally just push it to related friends. And it's going to be a lot of people that are also going to be probably interested in coming to your back to school bash. So you can do a good job of just creating an event on Facebook, and we see free events working just fine. I would say though, if you just have like 30, 80, $100 to throw at an event, it'll make a difference. And all of a sudden now, instead of maybe 1,000 or 2,000 people seeing something, you're going to see more like 8,000, 10,000 people. But those 8 or 10,000 people, they're going to see that same ad or that same boosted post maybe two, three, four times. And it might be that fourth time that they actually commit and say, hey, I'm going to go to this thing. So I would say if you don't have the budget, don't worry. Do it, create the event. You don't have to boost it. If you boost it, though, it's going to immediately ask for your credit card. If you're already running ads or you're in a church growth package and you already run ads, then you already have your credit card set up. You hit boost, we hit boost. And we actually have seen we prefer to run them both in tandem. So we'll like if you had $100 and you'll say, hey, for our back to school bash, we have $100 to advertise for this. We would typically put like $30 to $40 just boosting the post, and then $40, $70 type thing. My math's bad right now, but a little bit more on just the ad side because we're going to be hitting reels, stories, a few other placements. So great question, Dave. What's the difference between a boosted post and ad? So if you remember, the event is something that you can boost, and it's going to show like the date, it's going to show the time, who's hosting it, who's interested. Hey, there's 30 people going. There's 14 people interested in going. It's going to show that in the feed, which is great. But know that that's only going to show up in Facebook. It's not going to show up in Instagram. It's not going to show up in Reels. It's not going to show up in Stories. And that's where we proportionally don't want to give as much to an event that's boosted. Now, we do see, depending on where you're at and your demographics you're reaching, sometimes you're like, man, Instagram is our thing. That's our demographic. Other people know Facebook, and our demographic is really on Facebook. So it's not a hard rule of saying, oh, you don't spend 50-50. You can adjust that per your demographics. But most of the time, we like the full ads because we can run a full vertical video, we can run a carousel, we can run it in people's stories and their reels, and not just, remember, the boosted event is only going to show up in the feed on Facebook. So hopefully that helps you understand that. Any other questions around this? I've got one other thing to share with us here. So as you think about some of your final questions here, I'm going to put this in the chat. Let me find this. So this is just a little recap that we put together for you guys of the webinar, sort of some of the stats, some of the talking points. But let me see if I can bring this over here. We made it towards a copy, something that you can just click copy and bring this into your own Google Doc or Drive. So let me know if you have any troubles with that. But one of the things that we put in here down at the bottom is you'll see a checklist of some things to look at. Another thing we didn't really hit on a ton, make sure your Facebook and Instagram profiles are up to date. There's a lot as we bring on new clients into our church growth packages. We're auditing them maybe for the first time. It's like, hey, you don't have any of your service times in your description. That's huge. You don't even have your address. People don't know where you're at. They have to then click on your website to go find your address. So little things like that, we just want to shortcut and make it to where people can find everything they need on social media if they need to. So be thinking about that. The other thing here is we took into account some of the things of, hey, carousel posts are big, video posts are big, what days of the week. And we gave you guys, based off of the statistics we saw, about a month's worth of content here of some ideas that you could sort of fill in the blank, change some things, and hopefully shortcut and help you get some consistency. I will tell you this as well. Consistency on social media posting is going to make a huge difference. Facebook really wants people to stay looking at Facebook as much as they can, stay in Instagram, stay in those social media platforms as long as they can, keep them there, because the more they're there, the more ads they can show them, the more money they make. And so creators or pages or businesses or churches that are just posting like once every blue moon, it's like no big deal. For those that are posting all the time, Facebook really rewards you for that and thanks you for doing that because they need posts to put in people's feeds. So I just encourage you, we've seen a huge growth in churches and there are people that start following their page, definitely in correlation to the amount they post. Now that's all you're just being seen more because you're naturally posting more, but we're seeing a greater growth rate and more people seeing and interacting and engaging with your content if you're being as regular as you can. So take some of these ideas, make them your own. Feel free to take those and put those out. If you have any questions at all, we would love to chat some more and talk through any questions. If you have questions about our church growth package and how, if you're like, Zach, I don't have time to do any of it, our team would love to help you take that off your plate. If you have time to do it, I hope you got sort of our checklist, got some ideas, and you go implement these things right away. But wherever you're at as a church, I just say go implement it. Because it is like the time is now. Like there are families that need to see your ad, that need to be invited, that need to see your ad 4 or 5 times before they actually decide to come to this thing or to come check you out. I just want to encourage you as you're thinking about things, like God is an invitational God and we should be an invitational people. And I just think like the more we can invite people, just it's just like part of our culture, part of our DNA, and what God calls us to do. So I just encourage you find ways this year as you're starting things off, not just in youth ministry, not just in small groups, but how can you just invite your community to come check you out, plan to visit, come join us this Sunday. You're invited. How can you invite people to your church? So if you have any follow-up questions, definitely email us at support@10apps.com. If you're part of our church growth package, be on the lookout. We're going to have some homework emails of getting some of these content pieces ready and starting to plan through that. Those will be rolling out soon, and we'll be finishing up all of our social media audits here this week as well, so be on the lookout for that. Hope you guys have a great week. Excited to bring to you guys soon. We might drop this in the next week or two because there's so much changing and moving in the AI search world. Would love to hop online with you guys on a webinar soon. So be on the lookout for an invite for that. And we'll be doing a special one of those soon. Hope you have a great week.